The massive space station of the Galactic Council was a sight to behold, floating in the endless expanse of space. The structure was built with a scale and grandeur that only a coalition of powerful, technologically advanced species could create. Alien representatives from across the galaxy filled the chamber, their multicolored and diverse forms reflecting the myriad of cultures that made up the council. Each one was seated in their assigned places, surrounded by screens, holograms, and technology that glowed with a futuristic brilliance. Yet, despite the impressive surroundings, the atmosphere inside the room was tense. Every eye in the chamber was on the lone human standing before them. Captain Leo Williams, a tall and imposing figure, stepped into the center of the hall. His uniform was simple but authoritative, marking him as a representative of humanity. The humans in the room had earned their place among the stars through sheer determination and survival, but even Leo couldn't ignore the weight of the room. He could feel the skepticism and arrogance radiating from the alien representatives. To them, humanity was still a primitive species, small, insignificant, and easily dismissed. He stood tall, but his mind raced. This was the moment that would define humanity's future. The Galactic Council had already made it clear that they believed Earth was a backwater planet, unworthy of attention. They mocked the idea that humans could pose any real threat in the vast, technologically advanced galaxy. To them, humans were nothing more than a fleeting moment in the galaxy's long history. The council had gathered for an important meeting, but Leo's presence in the chamber was no accident. He had come with one purpose: to prove Earth was not just some insignificant world. Earth was a death world. Leo cleared his throat, and as his voice echoed across the room, he could feel the weight of the moment. Earth is a death world, and you have no idea what you're about to face. His words were sharp, cutting through the air with an intensity that made the surrounding silence even more deafening. The response from the council was immediate and predictable. A wave of laughter rippled through the chamber, a mix of condescending chuckles and dismissive murmurs. A few alien representatives exchanged looks of amusement, while others outright mocked Leo's statement. The idea that Earth, a planet considered so insignificant, could be a death world was laughable to them. One alien, a towering figure with a silver exoskeleton and a sharp angular face, leaned forward in his seat. A death world? You dare to call your primitive little planet that? His voice was thick with mockery, and the room erupted into laughter once again. Tell us, human, how could your world be anything more than a curiosity at best? Leo stood motionless, allowing the laughter to wash over him. His face was impassive, his eyes hardening with each mocking word. He had anticipated this. The arrogance of the Galactic Council was palpable. They were all too confident in their technology, their superiority, and their ability to conquer any threat the universe could throw at them. But Leo had come prepared. He wasn't about to let them dismiss Earth so easily. Taking a deep breath, he spoke again, his voice steady, unwavering. I challenge you. Come to Earth. Face its dangers firsthand. Prove me wrong. You think you're invincible, but you have no idea what you're dealing with. His words hung in the air, daring the council to test them. For a brief moment, the laughter stopped. The alien representatives exchanged glances, uncertainty creeping into their expressions. The silence that followed was heavy. It wasn't that they feared Leo's challenge. It was that they had never considered Earth as anything more than a curiosity. Their technological superiority had made them complacent. They had seen countless worlds, but none like Earth. None with a history so wild, so unpredictable, and so dangerous. The camera zoomed in on Leo's face, capturing the intensity in his eyes. His calm exterior hid the fire burning within. He knew the council had underestimated Earth. But he also knew that if he couldn't make them see the truth, humanity would forever be relegated to the role of a footnote in the history of the galaxy. The council was divided now. Some of them were still laughing, shaking their heads in disbelief at Leo's boldness, but others seemed intrigued. The challenge Leo had presented was impossible to ignore. They could easily dismiss him as a fool, but something in the back of their minds wondered if there might be some truth to his words. The idea of testing Earth's supposed Deathworld status began to plant seeds of doubt in their minds. Was Leo right? Could Earth really be as dangerous as he claimed? Leo's eyes scanned the room, reading the reactions of the alien representatives. He could see the uncertainty, the shift in the atmosphere. It was enough. He had gotten their attention, and that was all he needed. At the far end of the chamber, the council's leader, a regal being made of shifting light and energy, raised a hand to silence the room. The laughter died down, replaced by a hushed silence as the council leader addressed Leo directly. "Human," the leader said, its voice resonating through the chamber, "you claim Earth is a death world. You offer us a challenge. But what do you expect us to gain by accepting such an absurd proposition? What is it you seek?" Leo stepped forward, his voice steady but full of conviction. "I seek nothing. I simply want you to see the truth. Earth isn't just some backwater planet. It is a world that has survived against all odds. It's a world where life struggles, adapts, and endures. The strongest species on Earth aren't those with the most advanced technology. They are the ones who can survive in the harshest conditions. I want you to see for yourselves." The leader seemed to consider this for a moment. The tension in the room was palpable as the council debated internally. The idea of sending a team to Earth seemed ridiculous, even dangerous, but something about Leo's words struck a chord. Perhaps it was his unwavering belief in his planet, or perhaps it was the nagging suspicion that there was something to his challenge. After what felt like an eternity, the council leader made a decision. "Very well, human," the leader said, the decision clear in its voice. "We will send a team to Earth. You may guide them, if you wish. But be warned, we are not fools. We will test your claims to their fullest extent." Leo's heart raced. He had succeeded. The challenge had been accepted, but it was only the beginning. Now he had to prove that Earth's true power lay not in its technology, but in its ability to survive, to adapt, and to fight against overwhelming odds. As the council began to prepare for the mission, Leo couldn't shake the feeling that the real test was just beginning. He had opened a door, but he wasn't sure what was waiting on the other side. The suspense built as the alien representatives left the chamber, preparing for the journey to Earth. Leo knew that in the next few days, they would learn the truth about his world. They would face the dangers of Earth firsthand, and they would see that humanity wasn't to be underestimated. The battle for Earth's place in the galaxy had just begun. And as Leo watched the alien ships depart, he couldn't help but wonder. Would they return as conquerors, or would they come back changed, humbled by the brutal reality of Earth? The tension was unbearable. The fate of humanity was now in the hands of the Galactic Council, and there was no turning back. The Galactic Council's decision was swift, though their reasoning remained shrouded in arrogance. After Leo's bold challenge, they couldn't afford to back down without consequence. They had to teach this human, this brave, foolish human, a lesson that would reaffirm their superiority. The Council's confidence in their advanced technology was unshakable. No alien world, let alone a primitive planet like Earth, could possibly pose any real threat to their might. A few days later, the Council's decision was final. They had chosen a team, an elite group of soldiers from various corners of the galaxy. These warriors weren't just skilled in combat. They were the best, equipped with the most advanced technology known in the galaxy. Cloaking devices that made them invisible to most forms of detection, AI-powered weapons that could calculate the perfect shot in a fraction of a second, and robots capable of performing any task, no matter how complex. The team was ready to face whatever Earth had to offer, and they were certain that nothing could stand in their way. In the grand hangars of the Galactic Council's space station, the soldiers prepared for their mission. The sleek, heavily armored ships that would carry them to Earth were lined up, ready for launch. The soldiers themselves were dressed in black exoskeletons that glowed with a faint blue light, their movements precise, controlled, and confident. They gathered around their commanding officer, a tall alien with shimmering, translucent skin and an array of weapons strapped to its body. The officer stood with an air of superiority, its eyes scanning the team, ensuring everything was in order. "You've all been chosen for this mission because you are the best," the officer announced, its voice smooth and authoritative. "The humans' challenge is nothing more than a desperate plea for attention. We will land on their planet, confirm their primitive status, and return with proof of their insignificance. We will show them that the Galactic Council is beyond their comprehension." The soldiers nodded in unison, their confidence unshaken. They knew what awaited them. Earth was just another world, and they had faced countless challenges in their long careers. This would be no different. They had the technology, the training, and the numbers to crush anything Earth could throw at them. As the soldiers boarded their ships, Leo stood off to the side, his arms crossed, watching them with a mix of concern and anticipation. He knew that this was no ordinary mission. The Council was not only sending their best, they were sending their pride. And pride, as he knew all too well, could be a dangerous thing. Leo had seen it firsthand in battle, and he was afraid the Council would underestimate the planet they were about to invade. He had lived on Earth his whole life. He had seen the horrors and the wonders it held. He knew what made Earth so dangerous, what made it a true death world. The Council's soldiers were about to learn the hard way. His mind raced as he watched the sleek ships rise into the sky, disappearing into the blackness of space. Leo couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get out of hand. He knew Earth's dangers better than anyone, and the alien soldiers had no idea what they were walking into. Back on Earth, preparations were underway. The human soldiers who had fought alongside Leo, including his best friend Bonner, gathered in a quiet corner of the base. Bonner was a man of few words, but his deep, gravelly voice always carried weight when he spoke. The two had been through countless battles together, and Bonner had always been by Leo's side, offering support when needed. Bonner approached Leo, his face drawn with concern. "You really think this is a good idea, Leo?" he asked, his tone serious. "These aliens, they're not like anything we've ever seen before. They've got technology we can't even begin to understand. They might think they're invincible, but they won't be ready for what Earth has to offer." Leo sighed, running a hand through his short, dark hair. He looked out over the base, his thoughts distant. "I know, Bonner. I know, but we have to let them see for themselves. Earth isn't what they think it is, and if they don't see that, they'll never respect us. I've been telling them for years, and this is the only way to make them understand." Bonner's gaze softened, and he placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. "Just be careful, all right? We've got your back here, but if anything goes wrong, I don't know if we can save you." Leo met his friend's gaze, feeling the weight of Bonner's words. "I'll be careful, I promise. But we both know that Earth isn't the kind of place you can ever truly be ready for. We just have to trust that we've trained for it." As Bonner turned to walk away, Leo felt a strange weight in his chest. He had always been confident in his abilities, but this was different. This wasn't just about him. It was about proving humanity's place in the galaxy, about showing that Earth was a force to be reckoned with. The stakes had never been higher. As the alien ships made their way toward Earth, the tension was palpable. Back on Earth, Leo couldn't help but feel the impending danger. Earth wasn't just a planet, it was a crucible, a place where only the strongest survived. The creatures that roamed the land, the oceans, and the skies weren't just predators. They were hunters. Earth had shaped humanity into a species capable of surviving the harshest conditions, and Leo knew that the Council's soldiers had no idea what they were about to face. On the ships, the elite soldiers from the Galactic Council went about their preparations with smug confidence. They adjusted their cloaking devices, double-checked their weapons, and ensured their AI systems were functioning at peak capacity. They spoke little, their faces hidden behind helmets that offered little indication of their true emotions. It was clear that they thought the mission would be a walk in the park. Earth was nothing more than a testing ground for their superior technology. They were prepared for everything, or so they thought. The ships cut through the stars, their engines purring with the power of centuries of technological advancements. As the alien fleet approached Earth, a sense of unease began to settle over the soldiers. They couldn't explain it, but something didn't feel right. The air in the ships grew tense, and even the AI units, usually so precise and efficient, seemed to pick up on something that none of them could understand. The journey was long, but the soldiers pressed on, determined to complete their mission. They had been trained for everything, or so they believed. Earth was just another stop on their endless tour of the galaxy, another world to conquer, another race to dominate. They had no idea that the real test was about to begin. Their superior technology would be useless in the face of Earth's raw, untamed danger. The monsters that roamed the planet would tear through their defenses like paper, and the weather, the terrain, and the unforgiving nature of the planet would push their equipment to its limits. Back on Earth, Leo couldn't help but wonder how long it would take for the alien soldiers to realize that Earth was unlike anything they had ever encountered. He knew that, eventually, they would understand the truth, and when that moment came, there would be no turning back. The fate of the Galactic Council's soldiers and their perception of Earth was about to change forever. The clock was ticking, and soon, the world they had underestimated would make them regret their arrogance. The alien fleet descended toward Earth in a silent, calculated manner, their ships cutting through the atmosphere with the precision only superior technology could offer. As they broke through the clouds, the team of elite soldiers from the Galactic Council looked down at the vast, untamed landscape below. Earth was nothing like the orderly, controlled environments they were used to. Instead, it was a chaotic blend of towering forests, sprawling jungles, and towering mountains. From the safety of their ships, Earth appeared serene, almost welcoming. But this was just the calm before the storm. The cloaking devices that had kept the ships hidden from prying eyes were now deactivated, and the team prepared to make their first landing. Their mission was clear: show the humans their place in the universe, crush them under the might of Galactic Council technology, and return with proof of Earth's inferiority. The team touched down in a dense, humid jungle. As the landing gear clanged against the ground, the soldiers felt the shift. The air was thick with the scent of strange, foreign plants, and the sounds of creatures they had never heard before echoed from all directions. The jungle was alive with movement, too alive. "All right, everyone, stay sharp," the commanding officer ordered, voice calm but laced with the authority of someone used to being in charge. "We've come here to show them what we're capable of. Stay focused, and this will be over in no time." The soldiers disembarked from their ships, stepping onto the Earth with confident strides, their exoskeletons glinting under the alien sun. Their weapons hummed quietly, ready for anything the planet could throw at them. Their AI assistants scanned the environment, providing data that only reinforced their belief that Earth was no threat to them. The jungle, though unfamiliar, didn't seem to pose a serious danger. After all, how could something as primitive as Earth present a real challenge to the most advanced species in the galaxy? As they moved deeper into the jungle, the beauty of the place started to shine through. Massive trees with thick, twisting roots reached toward the sky, their leaves shimmering in the breeze. Strange flowers bloomed, their colors unlike anything the soldiers had seen before. It was a paradise, or so they thought. The first hint that they might be wrong came with a subtle rustling in the underbrush. The sound was faint at first, barely noticeable. But then, as the soldiers advanced, it grew louder, more urgent. The jungle around them seemed to come alive with noise, as if something was watching them, studying them, preparing for an attack. And then it happened. From the shadows of the dense foliage, a massive beast lunged forward, its jaws snapping shut with a terrifying roar. The alien soldiers barely had time to react before the creature was upon them, its massive claws swiping through the air, its scales gleaming in the sunlight. It was unlike anything the soldiers had ever encountered, a predator that moved faster than they could track, its strength overwhelming their most advanced weaponry. The AI systems that had guided their every move now fell silent, their data irrelevant in the face of this primal force. The first soldier didn't even have time to raise his weapon. The creature's claws ripped through the air, catching him off guard. He screamed in pain as he was thrown to the ground, his exoskeleton cracking under the force of the impact. The remaining soldiers attempted to retaliate, their eye-powered weapons firing in rapid succession, but the creature was too quick. It darted in and out of the trees, its movements too erratic for the soldiers to track. The laser beams from their weapons passed harmlessly through the air, missing their target by inches. Another soldier fell, then another. The team had been caught off guard, and their once confident demeanor was now replaced with panic. The AI systems, which they had relied on so heavily, struggled to adjust to the unpredictable nature of Earth's wildlife. Their cloaking devices, which had once rendered them invisible in the depths of space, were utterly useless here. The dense jungle blocked their view, and the creatures that roamed the planet were as wild and dangerous as they were unpredictable. The soldiers were no longer fighting a predictable, calculated battle. They were fighting for their lives. Leo, watching from a distance with a small group of human soldiers, couldn't help but smile. His instincts told him this was only the beginning. The aliens might have the technology, but Earth had something that no machine could replicate: survival instinct. The human race had survived in conditions far more hostile than these, and Leo knew that the aliens' technological superiority meant nothing in the face of raw, untamed nature. The group of human soldiers, crouched low and out of sight, observed the chaos unfolding before them. They didn't intervene. Not yet. Leo's eyes were locked on the alien team as they struggled against the jungle's merciless beasts. There was something satisfying in watching the Council's elite soldiers falter, their arrogance proving to be their undoing. Is this what they expected? Bonner, Leo's best friend and fellow soldier, muttered under his breath. His voice was laced with disbelief, but there was also a note of satisfaction. I knew Earth wasn't just some backwater planet, but seeing these guys flounder like this, I don't think they were ready for this. Leo didn't answer immediately. His gaze remained fixed on the aliens, now completely disoriented. The cloaking devices had failed them, and their weapons, so effective against less dangerous enemies, were useless against the cunning, relentless beasts of Earth. The soldiers were no longer in control. They were prey. Let them learn the hard way, Leo finally said. Let them see that Earth is a death world. Let them see that survival here isn't just a matter of having the best technology. It's about instinct. It's about knowing how to fight when you've got nothing else. As the alien soldiers continued to struggle, Leo couldn't help but feel a surge of pride for his planet. Earth wasn't a joke. It was a world that had shaped humanity into survivors. It had tested them, pushed them to their limits, and yet they had prevailed. And now, the Galactic Council's elite were learning that lesson the only way they could, through blood, sweat, and fear. For the aliens, the first shock had been just the beginning. As the jungle closed in around them, they quickly realized they had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated Earth, and now they would pay the price. The first beast was only the start. There were many more dangers in the jungle, and Leo knew that the true test was still to come. The aliens might be technologically superior, but Earth's wild, unpredictable nature would challenge every aspect of their advanced capabilities. The hunt had begun, and the aliens were the ones being hunted. The jungle was no longer a paradise. What had begun as a strange, beautiful world had turned into a battlefield. The alien team, once confident in their technology and superiority, was now at the mercy of Earth's wild, unpredictable nature. With each step deeper into the jungle, the dangers grew more intense, more unrelenting. The lush greenery that had initially seemed inviting now felt like a suffocating trap, alive with perils they couldn't predict or control. It started with a storm. The sky, which had been clear moments before, suddenly darkened, as if the planet itself was angered. The first drop of rain hit the ground with a hiss, quickly followed by torrents of water pouring from the sky. The storm wasn't just a normal downpour. It was a violent, furious display of Earth's unpredictable nature, with lightning flashing across the sky and thunder booming, as if the very heavens themselves were in chaos. The AI-powered robots, which had been scanning the environment, immediately malfunctioned. Their circuits shorted out as the rain soaked through their systems, rendering them useless. The team's cloaking devices, which had given them the advantage on the surface, now became a hindrance. The rain and wind made their technology unreliable, failing to shield them from the oncoming storm. The alien soldiers tried to seek shelter, but the jungle itself seemed to reject them. Vines lashed out from the trees, and the underbrush became a treacherous maze. Every step they took felt like a mistake, every movement a struggle against Earth's relentless fury. The storm raged for hours, forcing the alien team to move quickly, knowing that every second wasted brought them closer to disaster. But the jungle was vast, and the storm only intensified the dangers they faced. The terrain was treacherous, with sudden drops in elevation, rivers swelling from the rain and rocks loosening from the cliffs. Even the mighty alien soldiers, with all their technology, couldn't predict the unpredictable. In the midst of this chaos, the ground beneath their feet suddenly shook. A deep rumbling echoed from the distance as an earthquake ripped through the jungle. Trees were uprooted, and the earth split open, swallowing anything in its path. The alien soldiers tried to regain control of their technology, but the tremors only worsened the situation. Their weapons malfunctioned, and their advanced systems became useless in the face of Earth's raw power. It was in this chaos that the alien team realized how outmatched they truly were. Their superiority, once so clear, now seemed like a distant memory. Earth's terrain wasn't something they could calculate or control. It was a force of nature, unpredictable and untamable, and they were powerless in its wake. Back home, Leo and his team of human soldiers were watching through surveillance as the aliens faced Earth's wrath. It was a moment of both vindication and sorrow for Leo. He had known that the alien team would struggle, but he hadn't anticipated the scale of the disaster. Watching the chaos unfold, Leo's thoughts were clouded with concern for his men and the alien soldiers. He had to step in. "Bonner," Leo said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "We have to help them." Bonner, ever the loyal friend and soldier, nodded without hesitation. The bond between the two men was forged in years of fighting side by side. Bonner had always been the first to rush into danger, no matter the cost, and today was no different. "We'll help them," Bonner replied, his voice unwavering. Despite the overwhelming odds, Leo and his team of human soldiers decided to venture into the jungle to rescue the alien team. They knew that the jungle was dangerous, but they also understood the value of survival. The human soldiers were no strangers to hardship. Earth had shaped them into warriors, survivors, and Leo knew they had the skills necessary to make it through. The journey was perilous. The storm had only worsened, and the ground was now a treacherous swamp, with every step sinking into the mud. The trees above them were shaking violently, branches breaking and falling around them. The noise of the jungle was deafening as it seemed to fight back against anyone daring to enter its domain. Despite the challenges, Leo's team pressed on. They reached the alien team's last known position, where they found chaos. The aliens, though technologically advanced, were struggling to keep their footing in the mud. One of their soldiers was pinned beneath a fallen tree, struggling to breathe as the weight pressed down on his chest. Another soldier was desperately trying to repair their malfunctioning cloaking device, but the rain and mud had rendered it useless. The alien soldiers, now completely vulnerable, looked to the human soldiers for help. For the first time, they saw Earth's true strength, its ability to survive against overwhelming odds. But just as the human team was about to assist, an Earth creature emerged from the shadows, its massive body silhouetted against the storm. The beast, a gargantuan, four-armed predator, lunged at the group. It was faster than anything they had encountered before, and its strength was overwhelming. The alien soldiers, still trying to recover, scrambled to defend themselves, but their weapons were ineffective against the creature's speed and power. Bonner, with his typical bravery, acted without hesitation. He dove into the fray, his body a blur of motion as he engaged the creature. He fought with everything he had, using every ounce of his strength and skill to hold the creature off. But the beast was too powerful, and Bonner knew that his life was on the line. With a final, desperate push, Bonner shoved one of the alien soldiers out of harm's way, taking the full brunt of the creature's attack. The beast's claws tore into his chest, and Bonner's scream echoed through the jungle. In that moment, Leo's world seemed to shatter. He watched in horror as his best friend, his brother, was torn apart by the savage creature. "Bonner!" Leo cried, rushing to his side. But it was too late. Bonner's eyes were already fading, his body lifeless in Leo's arms. It was a moment of crushing loss, a painful reminder of the cost of war, of the sacrifice required to protect others. Leo, his heart heavy with grief, made a silent vow. The alien team would learn what Earth was truly capable of. Earth wasn't just a planet of survival. It was a planet of warriors, of people who fought with everything they had to protect those they cared about. As the alien team witnessed Bonner's sacrifice, they realized the true power of Earth. It wasn't just the technology, the machines, or the weapons that made humans strong. It was their willingness to fight for what they loved. The alien soldiers stood in silence, finally understanding what Leo had been trying to tell them all along. Meanwhile, far above in orbit, the alien ships launched an orbital bombardment, attempting to aid their soldiers on the ground. The sky erupted in flashes of light as their weapons rained down upon the Earth's surface. But instead of helping, the bombardment only intensified the devastation. The jungle, already in turmoil from the storm, was now set ablaze by the alien strikes. The landscape was transformed into a war zone, the once beautiful environment now a desolate battlefield. As the fires raged below, Leo's mind was set. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth, and now they were going to learn the hard way that Earth wasn't just a planet. They were dealing with a force to be reckoned with. The battle had just begun, and Earth would make sure it was a battle the aliens would never forget. The jungle had become a battlefield, but it was more than just the struggle of life versus death. For the remaining alien soldiers, it had become a journey of understanding, of realization that Earth was no ordinary planet. Their technology, their cloaking devices, their AI-driven weaponry, all the things they had relied on to survive, had failed them. They had been too confident in their advancements, dismissing Earth as a primitive world, a world beneath them. But the harsh realities of this planet were beginning to change their perceptions, piece by piece. As the storm continued to rage, the alien soldiers were battered, broken, and exhausted. Their weapons, designed to handle the most challenging threats, were useless against Earth's wild environment. The ground trembled beneath their feet, the sky above cracked with the roar of distant thunder, and the predators of the jungle, once unseen, now stalked them with a terrifying intensity. Their attempts to cloak themselves and escape were futile. They had underestimated Earth's power, and more importantly, they had underestimated the people who called it home. Leo, standing in the distance with his soldiers, watched with a growing sense of determination. He had known this moment would come. He had known that the alien soldiers would realize that Earth was no ordinary world. But even he couldn't have anticipated how much it would change them. They weren't just soldiers anymore. They were witnesses to the unyielding force of survival that Earth had become. The alien team's morale had plummeted. The remaining soldiers were no longer the invincible warriors they had once believed themselves to be. They had seen their comrades fall, lost to Earth's untamable forces. The jungle had claimed them one by one, And now they faced the harshest reality of all. They had to adapt, or they would die. In that moment, a new predator emerged from the shadows of the jungle. It was a massive creature, larger than anything they had encountered before. With teeth the size of daggers and claws that could tear through metal, the beast was a living nightmare. It moved silently through the underbrush, its glowing eyes locking onto the alien soldiers as it stalked them with terrifying precision. The alien team, already weakened and struggling, turned to their weapons for protection. They tried to use their advanced technology to defend themselves, but the creature was too fast, too powerful. Their laser guns, designed to cut through anything, barely left a scratch on the beast's tough hide. The cloaking devices failed to keep them hidden as the creature's senses honed in on their presence. The AI-controlled robots that had been their backup had long since malfunctioned in the face of Earth's unpredictable environment. The aliens were out of options. Leo knew that the only way they would survive this attack was by thinking outside the box, by combining the ingenuity of humans with the alien technology they had at their disposal. He called out to his team, rallying them to move quickly, to think as one unit rather than separate soldiers. They had to adapt, just like the alien soldiers had to. Use the alien tech, but think like humans, Leo shouted. We survive through innovation, through doing what others wouldn't expect. With his orders, the human soldiers began to use the alien weapons in creative ways. They rigged up traps, creating makeshift barricades and lures, using the environment to their advantage. Leo himself led the charge, using the alien weaponry to engage the beast, but also employing classic human tactics, teamwork, stealth, and an understanding of the land. The alien soldiers, though initially hesitant and reluctant to rely on human ingenuity, began to follow Leo's lead, recognizing that this was their only chance for survival. The fight was brutal. The creature lunged at the group, its jaws snapping shut with a deafening roar. But Leo's plan worked. The humans used their knowledge of the land to trap the creature, guiding it into a narrow canyon where the alien technology could finally do what it was designed to do. Together, human and alien forces combined their strengths, and the creature was finally subdued. It wasn't just the defeat of the beast that changed everything. It was the way the two groups worked together. The alien soldiers, once so proud and dismissive of humans, began to see a new side of Earth's inhabitants. They had witnessed Earth's resilience firsthand, but now they saw something more. Earth's ingenuity, its ability to adapt and overcome, even in the face of overwhelming odds. For the first time, the bond between Leo and the alien soldiers began to shift. They were no longer adversaries. They weren't enemies. They were survivors, working together to make it out of the jungle alive. The divide between them, which had once been so clear, began to fade away. They shared a common goal, survival. And in that moment, they understood that they weren't so different after all. The emotional toll of the journey was beginning to show. The alien soldiers, hardened by years of war and superiority, were beginning to mourn the loss of their comrades. They had watched as their own kind fell, victims of a planet that refused to yield. They had seen firsthand how Earth's creatures, both animal and human, fought to survive. They had seen the sacrifices made, and they had witnessed human loyalty, bravery, and ingenuity in ways they had never imagined. One of the alien soldiers, a young woman who had once scoffed at the idea of working alongside humans, now stood side by side with Leo. She had lost her friends in the jungle, and the weight of it all had left her shaken. But she no longer looked at Leo with disdain. She saw him as a fellow soldier, a fellow survivor. And in him, she saw the spirit of Earth that had kept humanity alive through countless battles. "We underestimated you," she said quietly, her voice heavy with regret. "Your world, your people, they are not weak. They are stronger than we could have ever imagined." Leo nodded, his eyes hardening as the weight of the journey settled in. "Earth is a death world," he said, the words resonating with the truth they had all witnessed. "And now you know it too." The alien soldiers stood silently, their heads bowed in respect for the fallen, both human and alien. They had come to Earth to conquer, to prove their superiority. But what they had found was something far different. They had found a world that would not be easily defeated, a world that fought back with everything it had. As the jungle around them began to settle, the alien soldiers began to change. They no longer saw Earth as a primitive world. They saw it as a force to be reckoned with. They saw it as a world that had learned to survive through every challenge, every hardship. And they respected it. They respected the humans who lived here, who had fought and died for their world. In the quiet moments that followed, as the jungle returned to its eerie calm, Leo and the alien soldiers stood together, their bond forged in the fires of survival. The battle had not yet ended, but they had taken the first step toward something much greater than war. They had taken the first step toward understanding. Leo looked around at the group. The alien soldiers, once his enemies, were now allies. And he knew, deep down, that together they would face whatever the future held. They had survived Earth's fury, and now they would face the next challenge, together. The alien team, once arrogant and confident, had returned to the Galactic Council, battered, bruised, and forever changed. The journey that had started with an assumption of superiority had ended with the painful realization that Earth was not the weak, primitive world they had thought it to be. The alien soldiers, though exhausted, stood side by side with Leo and his human team, their bond forged in the fires of survival. Together, they had survived the brutal jungles of Earth and faced challenges none of them had ever imagined. Now, it was time to return to the heart of the Galactic Council, to face the leaders who had sent them to Earth in the first place. Leo's soldiers walked with their heads held high, their eyes full of pride. They had proven that humanity was not to be underestimated, that Earth was not some easy target for conquest. They had stood their ground and had shown the galaxy that their spirit was far stronger than any advanced weaponry or technology. The time for talking was over. Now, it was time for action, for proof, and for a reckoning. The Galactic Council awaited them, a massive hall filled with powerful alien leaders from across the galaxy. The once mighty rulers who had looked down upon Earth, who had believed humanity to be insignificant, now watched in silence as Leo and his team entered. The alien soldiers who had once mocked humans now stood alongside them, their expressions solemn and respectful. The council members exchanged uncertain glances, their arrogance tempered by the unexpected turn of events. Leo stepped forward, his presence commanding. He had been through more than anyone could imagine. He had seen his people fight, struggle, and survive against all odds. And now, he was here to make sure the council understood something that could not be ignored. Earth was not just a planet. Earth was a force, and humanity was its strength. The room fell silent as Leo began to speak. His voice was calm but filled with a quiet power that resonated through the chamber. Members of the Galactic Council, Leo began, his gaze sweeping over the assembled leaders. You sent us a message. You sent us a team of elite soldiers to prove that Earth was weak, that we were nothing more than a primitive species waiting to be conquered. You believed that your technology and your weapons would be enough to crush us, but you were wrong. There was a pause as Leo's words hung in the air. The council members shifted uncomfortably, their pride beginning to crack. Leo continued, his voice growing stronger as he spoke from the heart. Earth's strength does not lie in our technology. He said, each word deliberate and powerful. Our strength lies in the human spirit. It's in our ability to endure. It's in our refusal to give up, no matter how overwhelming the odds may seem. We are survivors, and we always will be. The room was silent. Leo's words echoed, and the alien soldiers, those who had once stood with the council in judgment, now stood with Leo. They had seen what Earth was capable of. They had felt it, experienced it firsthand, and now they knew that the human spirit was the true force that set Earth apart from every other planet in the galaxy. You came to Earth thinking we were weak. Leo continued, his tone unwavering. But you were wrong. You've seen what we can do when we are pushed to the brink. You've seen how we fight for survival, how we adapt to the harshest conditions, and how we protect what is ours. Earth may not have the most advanced technology, but we have something far more valuable: the will to fight, to endure, and to rise again after every fall. The council members exchanged nervous glances. They had expected a simple display of power, a quick and easy victory over a planet they had deemed insignificant. But what they saw now was something far more dangerous: a planet that could not be broken, a people who could not be defeated. The leaders of the Galactic Council began to understand that Earth was not the easy target they had imagined. Earth was a death world in its own right, a planet that had learned to survive through the harshest trials and tribulations. As Leo's words sank in, the alien soldiers who had once mocked Earth began to speak. Their voices were hesitant at first, but they grew stronger as they shared their experiences on the planet. They spoke of the jungle, the creatures, the storms, and the harsh environment that had shattered their confidence. They spoke of the humans who had fought beside them, who had sacrificed their lives to protect them, and who had shown them that there was more to strength than just technology. "We thought we were the superior ones," one of the alien soldiers said, his voice filled with regret. "We thought we could easily conquer Earth, but now I see it differently. I see how the humans fought. They didn't rely on cloaking devices or AI weapons. They relied on their courage, their resourcefulness, and their bond with each other. That's something we can't replicate. That's something no technology can replace." Another alien soldier nodded in agreement. "I've seen things on Earth that I never thought I'd see. Humans are not like us. They are not just survivors. They are warriors in their own right." The council members were silent, their faces unreadable. Some of them were clearly shaken by the soldiers' testimonies, while others were trying to mask their discomfort. The realization was sinking in. Earth was not just a planet to be controlled. Earth was a force to be reckoned with, and humanity had proven that it was not a species to be underestimated. Leo continued, his voice steady and full of resolve. "So I challenge you, members of the Galactic Council, accept Earth for what it is. Don't look at us as just another primitive world. Accept us as a true force in this galaxy. Respect us, and understand that we are not a species to be conquered. We are a species that will fight for our future, and we will do so with everything we have." There was a long pause, the weight of Leo's words hanging heavily in the room. The council members looked at each other, some visibly shaken, others deep in thought. They had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, but instead they had witnessed something far more powerful. They had seen a planet that could not be broken, a species that could not be destroyed. They had seen Earth's true strength. Finally, one of the senior council members, a tall alien with dark skin and glowing eyes, stood up. His voice was deep and calm, yet there was a new respect in his words. "Leo of Earth," he said, his tone sincere, "we came here with arrogance, believing that Earth was nothing more than a speck in the galaxy. But now we see the truth. Earth is a death world. Its people are resilient, and they are not to be underestimated. We respect your strength, and we acknowledge your place in this galaxy." Another member, an alien with 4 arms and a helmet-like face, spoke next. "We have witnessed your strength, and we have learned from it. Earth will no longer be seen as insignificant. We will respect you, not just as a planet, but as a force to be reckoned with." Leo nodded, his face calm but triumphant. "Thank you," he said simply. "That's all we've ever asked for." With that, the fate of Earth was sealed. No longer would humanity be looked down upon or dismissed. The Galactic Council had learned a powerful lesson, and Earth's place in the galaxy had been forever changed. Leo and his team stood victorious, not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the strength of their spirit, their unyielding will to survive and to protect what was theirs. And as they left the council chamber, Leo felt a sense of pride like never before. Earth had proven itself, not just to the galaxy, but to itself. It had shown that no matter how small or insignificant one might seem, strength lies in the heart, in the will to never give up. And that was something no one, not even the greatest powers in the galaxy, could take away from them.